Good morning, President Harvey, Dr. Haysbert, Dr. Murphy, and colleagues. It is my pleasure to present to you a part of my teaching innovation titled Flipped Classroom Using Pre-Recorded Video Lectures to Improve Student Learning Outcomes. This innovation was first implemented in fall of 2017. The rationale behind this innovation came from students' use of audio recording devices during lecture that the students often use to listen as they prepare for the exams. These audio recordings are filled with classroom interruptions, disturbances, and low recording quality that leads to a poor lecture experience. Additionally, several pedagogical studies have shown that students' focus and attention span starts deteriorating 10 to 15 minutes into the lecture, which also has a direct impact on their note-taking ability. PHA 311, a first professional year course, was a suitable choice to implement this concept as students find this course challenging. This course has been identified as a benchmark course for programmatic and curricular assessment, as performance on this course is a strong indicator of student success in the program. The lectures were pre-recorded using Camtasia, a software that I got familiarized with in Dr. Verma's CTE seminar. The lectures were then uploaded to YouTube, and students were given an assignment to watch the lectures before coming to the class, so that the classroom time could be utilized for hands-on activities, problem solving, and delivering a more personalized approach to learning by addressing specific student deficiencies. I hypothesized that delivering the lectures in a pre-recorded format would lead to a better lecture experience, with students watching the lecture in shorter intervals as per their attention span. This qualitative improvement in the lecture experience would lead to better student performance, which could then be quantified in terms of improvement in student learning outcomes and retention of information. Students were tested on certain learning objectives using distinctly unique questions over 2 years. Fall 2016 was the conventional lecture delivery, and fall 2017 was the flipped classroom approach. Y-axis shows the percent incorrect the class got on a particular learning outcome, and X-axis has specific outcomes. We administer multiple choice exams at School of Pharmacy, so item analysis was done using Apperson's Learning Outcomes Editor. There was statistically significant improvement in outcomes such as recognizing organic functional molecules and fundamentals of polar and nonpolar structures. And although there was some improvement in outcomes such as using Lineweaver-Burke plot to calculate enzyme kinetics and the PHPKA concept, the improvement was not significant. This is a team-taught course where I teach my section at the beginning of the semester, and I'm usually done by the end of September. Oftentimes, students who have grasped the concepts well on the period exams tend to miss those same concepts on the comprehensive final exam in December. So I analyzed if the flipped classroom approach had any improvement in the retention of information. Again, there was improvement in all three outcomes, although it was not significant for enzyme kinetics. By tracking YouTube analytics, I could see that the students spent several hours reviewing these lectures in the days leading up to the exam. In order to see if there was any qualitative improvement in the lecture experience, I administered a Likert scale survey that had to be completed anonymously. I won't go into the details of describing each one of this for the sake of time, but you can see that the flipped classroom concept was new to 80% of the students, and more than 80% felt that this approach made it easier to understand the lecture content. More strikingly, and somewhat relevant to our current situation, are the last two data points. Less than 40% students felt confident of the material after watching the lectures alone and before coming to the class, whereas that number increased to almost 90% after the classroom interactions, which goes on to show that pre-recorded lectures alone might not be sufficient for effective student learning. The biggest advantage, according to the students, was that they could pause or stop whenever they felt like taking a break, which is not entirely surprising considering that the attention span for Gen Z and millennials has been shown to be 8 and 12 seconds respectively. Some other advantages were taking notes at their own pace, rewinding and rewatching as many times as required, and coming to the class prepared by identifying slides that needed more clarification beforehand. The students were also kind enough to point out some shortcomings of this approach. They felt it was unfair having to watch the lecture in their time outside the classroom. My argument to that was it was only fair as with this approach they were doing their homework and problem solving assignments in the class time. A lot of students follow the wonderful professionally made Khan Academy videos that are filled with animations. So they suggested that I should try doing the same in the future. Some students mentioned that they could not get a question answered as they watched the video and therefore at times could not understand the subsequent related concept. And then there were times where they came to the class unprepared, not having watched the video, and therefore felt lost in the classroom interactions. With that, I would like to thank the committee for this honor and all of you for your time and attention. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have.